And then the Drew McIntyre video by the coffin. Did you see it?
I did.
Drew McIntyre is there by a coffin. It looks like he's, at a funeral. And he turns to the podium where they give the eulogies. And he says, "Look in my eyes. What do you see? CM Punk has no match in Philly." This guy's great. Have they been hiding this under Vince McMahon? Thought he's a Scotsman. He's got to have a sword. And that's the extent of it.
And I just watched the Roman Reigns biography, and I know we're going to talk about that likely on the experience, although there's so much stuff happening. We'll see what's going on.
Let me say this publicly, as in front of people. But with all the things going on this week, I know that Heyman was involved with the Roman Reigns biography. I want to give it my undivided attention. It's a couple hours long, so I'm not going to just zip through and get highlights. I'm going to watch the whole thing. We'll talk about it when I've had time, so we're not sloughing that off. We're trying to give it respect.
But much like Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns was someone that Vince McMahon saw as a project. And they were saying suffer and succotash. They were saying things that Vince McMahon thought would work, and it really didn't. Now he's not just some guy coming out with a sword. Now he's showing you attitude like a real person. Like the kind of attitude you would get if you bumped into him in the grocery store or something.
Yes. And he's witty, and he's wry with it. And he's not, again, he's a perfect tweener, which they haven't had in a long time, and also which is a newsletter or smart fan, modern day verbiage invention, but a guy that's in between. He's neither babyface nor heel because of this change in attitude, and it's a slow thing rather than just stabbing a babyface in the back and you're hugging them all the next week, all in the heel locker room. But he did a eulogy for Punk's WrestleMania dreams and some wicked shit, and then skewered Seth and talked about his match and said he's going to put him down for good at WrestleMania. He's great with this. So that's a Drew McIntyre has been elevated in the last year from, we didn't particularly care if he was on a show or not, to now he's one of the highlights that we can't skip.
In just the last 6 months, not even a year.
Yeah. So there you go.
Good stuff. Again, it's the stuff around the wrestling. And the fans are into the wrestling. It's not like they're sitting there bored. They the 8-man tag match, they want to yell at Dominic. They're into the Judgment Day stuff with R-Truth or whatever. They're not bored. It's just that stuff doesn't excite me, but all the angles and now the video packages are starting to get even better.
Yeah, and like you said, they're not shitting on most of the matches. But at the same time, they understand, well, we're going to see this match, and then here come the stars. So the next match was Ricochet versus Ivan the Viking. And then we sat until the 10 o'clock hour, and out came Becky Lynch.
I liked the match, by the way.
Well, I'm sure it was a good match. But
it was a good match.
That's the thing. It's that,
I was actually impressed by the Viking. I had never really paid attention to him. Like, right opponent, maybe?
No, they were great. Both him and his partner who was hurt, they were great when they were real people and the tag team War Machine, and they could move for those big guys. But now they're Vikings but that's the thing. A good match, but it's between people that are not being featured. So you'll sit and enjoy it. It's not offensive to the business, but we got bigger fish to fry here. The stars are about to come out again. And that's the philosophy they're taking. And maybe if one of these guys suddenly, breaks out and gets over and people are jumping up and down and screaming instead of being polite and cheering and excited at the big moves, but just to see this guy or that guy or the other guy, then they'll let him quit wrestling and start talking. And then they better be able to talk, because if they can't, they're going to go back to wrestling. And we know that's a path to fucking nowhere.